Angular directives. Angular directives are classes that enhance the feature of a HTML element or component and add additional behavior to the web application. They can transform a static HTML page into dynamic by manipulating DOM. The beginning with ng, which stands for Angular. The at directive decorator is used to mark a TypeScript class as an Angular directive. This decorator contains some configuration metadata that determine how the directive should be processed, instantiated, and used at the runtime. Features and uses of Angular directive. So using the directives, you can create your own HTML element, attributes, and classes. They allow the developer to create the required features one and reuse them across the different part of the Angular applications. It becomes easy to update and maintain the code, as we did not need to write code for the same features again and again. Directives can control the DOM elements. So this is the difference between components and directives. So components in Angular are used to create the user interface element and manage the state. In directives in Angular or classes, they can modify the behavior or appearance of existing DOM element. In the component, they create the reusable user interface element. The directives, they create reusable features and behaviors for the certain elements. Then the component decorator is used to declare a component. The at directive decorator is used to declare a directive. Here there is only one component for each DOM element. Here there can be one or more directives for each element. Custom directive is a user-defined directives that allow the developer to extend the functionality of the HTML element. The attribute and structures built-in directive offers very basic and predefined functionality. However, with the custom directive, you can add specific behavior to the HTML element based on the project requirement, user interactions, or changes in data. To create a custom directive, you have to run the following command: ng generate a directive, then you have to give the directive name, and then the component directive. So each component of an Angular application is a directive itself. It is a special directive with views. Also, it has an add input and add output decorator to send as well as receive information between the parent and child component. So syntax for the component directive is ng generate component, then component name. Then these are the types of directives. So directives are categorized based on the type of features it provides to the HTML element. So the type of directives are components, attribute directive, and then structure directives. So the structure directive, there are three types: ngf, ng4, and ng-switch. In the attribute directive, there are three types: ng-class, ng-style, as well as ng-module. We see one by one hereafter. So the first one is structural directives. So structural directives changes the structure of DOM by adding or removing elements. It is denoted by an asterisk. With the three predefined directives: ngif, ng4, and ng-switch. ngif is used to display or hide the data in your applications. When the conditions become true, it will display the data, otherwise not. We can add this to any tag in our template. Next one is ng4. It is used to repeat a portions of element from the given list of items. The last one is ng-switch. It is used to check the multiple conditions. Then attribute directives. So attribute directives changes the appearance or behavior of the DOM elements or the component. So it is very useful in the HTML attribute. However, the directive should be enclosed within the square bracket to bind into the elements. The most commonly used are as follows: ng style, ng class, and then ng models. So ng style is used to add the dynamic style, and then ng class adds or remove the cascading style sheet classes in HTML elements, and then ng model is mainly used for two-way binding. So the first one is example for ng style directive. Here the ng style directive is used to add the dynamic styles. You can set one or more styles properties using the key value pair separated by a colon. Here key is the name of the style and the value is the expression that gets calculated. If the result is null, no style will be applied to the element. So this example show how to apply blue color to the paragraph using ng style directive. So in the step 1, you have to create the directive app application by using ng new directive app. Then add the below content in app.html file. So this is the app.html file. Here you have to give the color blue and as well as font style. In the third, you have to import the common model inside the app.ts file. Once the common model is created, then you have to start your application using the below command ng serve. So finally, you run your applications in the browser. You see the output appear in the blue color using ng style. So the next example is usage of ng class directive. So the ng class directive is mainly used to add or remove CSS classes in HTML element. The CSS classes are updated based on the given conditions or the type of expressions. If the expression is a string, the CSS classes specified in the strings are added. If it is an array, the CSS classes listed as array element are added. And if expression is an object, the key represents CSS class that will be added when their corresponding values are evaluated to a truly value and removed when their values are falsy. So in the first step, you have to change the app.html with the following code. So after that, in the step 2, you have to open app.ts file and you have to change it in the common module. Have to nested the applications as well as the background color. So all are you have to change it in the app.ts. In step 3, in app.css, you have to give the style, background color, font weight, margin, padding, button width, that are all you have to given. So finally, you have to run your application using the below command ng serve. So this is all about ng directive. The next one is usage of ng model directive. So the ng model is a built-in attribute directive. This mostly used to enable two-way data binding for HTML element from element with the help of a banana in a box syntax. However, if you use ng model in square bracket syntax, it will enable the one-way binding. So the ng mode directive is provided by a separate module called forms module, which is necessary for template driven forms. A simple example of two-way binding is given below. Here, a user object with the name property is defined. Whenever user changes in field, the updated username will be reflected to the user.name variable in the component. So similarly, if the variable component user.name get changed, the input field value will be updated as well. So let us create a simple registration form to understand the NG model directive. So our registration form consists of an input field as shown below and a button to submit the registration form. So username, password, and then have the confirm password. In step 1, you have to create a new applications using the command ng new my app. In step 2, you have to create a new registration form component registration form using the Angular CA. So ng generate component registration form. In the step 3, you have to given the open registration form component template and a user with a username, password, and a confirm password. You have to give this code in the registration form.html. Here all you have to give necessary details you have to given in the code. In the step 4, you have to open the registration form component state and add some CSS to the form as shown below. So you have to give the background color, then padding, margin, border, width, display, box sizing, that and all you have to give. So in step 5, include our registration form component in the app template file as well as app.html. In step 6, add an object name user with the username, password and confirm password properties. So the user object will have an empty string initially. Once the user enters the data, it will get populated through ng model directive. So finally, in the step 7, create a new member method show info in the component class. The purpose of this is the current user information and show it through the alert method. Here you have to give all the details and all. Here the prevent default method of the event object will prevent the default actions of the submit button, and the alert method will show the message to the user. In the step 8, the complete listing of the component, that is register form.ts is as follows. Here we have to give the add component and then export class registration form contain the username and password and the confirm password. So finally, if you click it, it will show the information username, password as well as the confirm password field. So finally, the result before running the application, you have to add the registration form to the app.ts file. So once it is given, it will show the output. So now you run the applications, fill out the form and click the registration button. It will collect the information through the ng model binding and show it through the alert of functions. Here the username is John and the password is my secret and the confirm password is also my secret. So this is the way you have to create the ng directive method. Then Angular structural directive. So structural directive change the structure of DOM by adding or removing element at the runtime. So this type of Angular directive is used to show or hide element based on user authentications, render dynamic list from API, or create interfaces like tabs, and accordingly that changes based on the user actions. The structured directive are applied to the element by prefixing the directive name is an asterisk symbol. To use these directives in your Angular applications, importing common model is necessary as they are the part of this model. Here some of the built-in structural directives are ngIf, ngFor as well as ngSwitch. So the first one is usage of ngIf directive. Here the Angular template does not provide the facility of condition logic. Therefore, ngIf directive is used to apply the condition logic. For this reason, it is also a condition directive. For example, here you can use the ngIf directive to display or hide the data in your applications based on the specific conditions. So let's try the NG directive in the directive app applications to show and the hide information. So first step, we have to add the below code in the app.html. The second step, we have to import the common model and add a show off method in the app.ts file as follows. In third step, we have to open the app.ts file and add below CSS. In step 4, finally you have to run the applications using the ngserve command. Here you click on the button, it will show the hidden content. Next one is usage of ng4 directive. Here Angular template does not have a feature of looping logic as well. So to the loop through given data, Angular provides ng4 directive. For example, you can use the directive to loop over an array of items and show it as a list, gallery, table, etc. So in the step 1, you have to add the list in the app.ts file in the as shown below. You have to add the list. So like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In step 2, you have to add ng4 directive. Here, the let keyword creates a local variable and it can be referenced anywhere in your template. The one create a template local variable to get the list of element. In step 3, finally, you have to give the command using the ngserve. Once it is given, the output will show. So the following response will be displayed in the list format. The next one is ng switch directive. Angular template does not have switch statement as well. So at the place of switch statement, Angular provides ng switch and it later directive to check the multiple conditions and select any one of the item in a collections of item. Step 1. You have to give the following code in the app.ts file. In step 2, have to give the following code using the switch case. So finally, how to start your application using the ngserve command. You can get the output as ng switch directive. Here you have to give the switch expression. Then the final one is custom directives in Angular. So custom directive is a user-defined directive that allow the developer to extend the functionality of the HTML element. The attribute and the structure built-in directives offers a very basic and predefined functionalities. Here, however, with a custom directive, you can add specific behavior to the HTML element based on the project requirement, user interactions, or changes in the data. You can create a reusable and modular piece of coding using the custom directive. The custom directive can also help us add various features to the user interface such as tooltip, drag and drop, form validation, dynamic cell, and much more. So here you have to create a custom directive in Angular by using this command ng generate directive and then directive name. So in this example, we will learn how to create a custom directive in Angular. In step 1, you have to give this command to create the style directive. In step 2, you have to give the custom style.ts. Here the custom method get the element using the custom style. Then it accesses the style of EL and set and font size as 24px using the CSS property. Step 3, add the below text and use the selector of custom directives. In step 4, import this custom directive. So finally, you have to run your application using the command. So finally, you got the output like this. So that's all about Angular directives.